Hey guys, today I will be painting this beautiful door and let's see what I will come up with. I wanted to make this video simple and easy to explain, and I will leave the link to this image in the description box. I got it from Unsplash. There are plenty of free images to download and you can find a lot of stuff there to use as reference. Today I will be working on this really rough torchon paper. The size is about A5. Actually, I made this one myself and I will probably make a video on how you can make your own album using the paper that you like, that you prefer, because there is a chance that the manufacturer doesn't make this kind of albums with the paper that you like. Also, I will be using Winsor & Newton ink and I will be using different watercolors. Right now I'm trying to use up some palettes of mine, so I will be using some Sennelier, Winsor & Newton, Daniel Smith colors, so it will be mixed salad. And just fun part, this is another tool of mine. Of course you have to use waterproof or water resistant materials, maybe something like this, liners. Usually I don't make too many sketches because I want to learn how to paint loosely and without too many of preparations. So for this painting I will only mark the size of the door and that's it. Actually, you can measure it like this. I say it's a bit longer than 2 widths. The only thing is I don't want these marks to be too visible, so I'm removing some of the pencil, and actually it's better to use this thing to lift some pencil. It's also an eraser and you can find it in, I think, any art shop. Before we start we have to shake the inks a bit. Again, if you're using some pen or even pencil, well, do it. I'm gonna start with left side because I have to be patient with inks. I don't want to make any splashes. I start my door with this line. As you can see, I'm not using any rulers or anything, and I actually have a tendency to lean with my paintings to the right side. I have to be careful now because inks, they dry not too fast and I don't want any smudges. Here we can see a little angle here, so that I will have to add this second line here. It's just this side will be a bit narrower. I'm fixing some areas as I go. To be honest, this torchon paper is not really good for these straight inclines. It's all bumpy. And here we can see a stair, so I'm connecting this line here and here, and then it comes out a little bit to the side, and now it comes towards us a little bit, and here we have this stair. Now I'm showing the thickness of the top layer. and the actual height of this window, of this stair. There will be a frame here, and they go like this on the top. As you can see, it's not too fast. I'm starting with the most visible, with the closest parts, which is a handle and this, I don't know what you call it in English, this piece of wood. And it works for all the paintings. You want to start with the parts that are on top of everything else. Then you go deeper and deeper. So it has some widths and it has some... There is another part that I missed that goes like this. It is a bit wider, but that's fine. I can just add some stuff here and I will make it look a bit darker at the end. It's no problem. At the bottom, I see here some other pieces of embellishment. And they go up here. And another piece. You see, with the next line, I fixed the previous error. I can also see a second line at the edges. Very, very narrow. It's all about details, right? Of course, we have to simplify some areas, but the whole painting here, the whole image is not too complicated itself, so we can afford to add in some details. Not adding, but to show in the actual ones. All right, and there will be a handle somewhere here. Not too complicated, but also not too plain. Not too boring, with a little bulb here. And I have to fit these 4 squares in this area. So I will find a center. I think it will be somewhere here. And from this point I will find the end of the second square. On this side too. And I'll find the center here also. Sometimes when I go from top to the bottom or side to side and there is not enough space, I can just skip some part of an image. Here I have to pay attention to this area. No, I want to align this with the others, so I will just go underneath and it will go like this. I'm avoiding this handle. And that's it. And I'm finishing these squares. They're not squares anymore, as you can see. And again, this is what I meant. I'll just pretend that it was my intention to give them these shapes. Fixing it a bit here. And I'm heading to this side. I hope I will not smudge the inks. Sometimes these nibs, they don't want to work properly, and you have hard times with trying to get those inks out of the pen or dove or whatever it is that you're using as a tool. Done. And actually maybe I'll do something like this. Okay, now I want to repeat these shapes inside. And to make them look more interesting, I want to show these corners. Oh, actually they are shown there. I will not make all these layers that we have here, just a few. Again, it's all right that they're not even, they're not straight. It's a loose sketching. It's time for freedom. Great. And maybe just a bit of thickness at the edges. So I'm adding another layer inside. And at this point, I'm fixing these areas. And it's all right, let them be darker, let them be more like thick and different. It's all right. Of course, it's much faster with micron pens. But I'm challenging my hand. And these lines, they also add some volume to our door. Okay, I think I'm done with the door. I will now paint this house number. Something like, I'll make it a bit bigger so that I will feel comfortable with writing. Maybe even I should write the number first and then I will finish the frame. Perfect. Now this line and this line, and I will cut the corners like this. And maybe a sort of frame in here too. I will add a mailbox. Okay, how am I supposed to fit it here? Let's try. I want to leave some white space there around the box. And of course we need these locks. Like this. And maybe one more, maybe not. Yeah, let's make one more with this nice shape for an old key. I don't know what this part is, but let's pretend that it's this rain pipe. Doesn't really matter what it is, it's just something dark looking like a pipe. I will actually add this these things, these clips or whatever it is, to pretend it to be connected to the wall. And the last part is this plant. Let me show the ground first. The wall is cracked, of course, something that we really sort of like about these old buildings. Of course, it would be nice if they were all repaired. But they are what they are, and we'll find something nice about it, which is this charm about these old buildings. A little piece of ground for the roots, and yeah, we can be free here to paint it any way we like, we prefer. Here I will be simplifying a lot. I'll go just like this. And a bit more of this. I want to show here some stones. They all have to be sort of different. You can make them smaller, bigger. Of course, the closer they are to the wall, the smaller they are, but there is not much space here, so even if they're close to be similar, that's fine. And I think I want to add some more cracks on the wall. And some nails or screws here, and some more greenery in this area. Maybe some sort of grass here, some, you know, wild piece of greenery. And a little bit right here. Now I will have to dry it a little bit. And I will use this dryer. To make this pink color, I will use some yellow and some red. I will be using up some trial palettes here. I really love this color. I think it's Naples yellow. I think it should be a bit cooler. And to make it cooler, I can add some cooler red or some blue. I'm not mixing this stuff too well because I want this whole variety on my wall, because the paint is old. And let it be old and different. But before I apply this color, before I apply any color, I will add shadows, and my shadows will be sort of blue. Sometimes I use only Penn's Gray for shadows. Stuff is quite watery, and yet it has to be visible, so we can see the shadows here and under the trees and under this pipe, let's say. So I repeat them. I go underneath of this pipe, including the pipe itself. Yes, it is dark. It's nice and dark, I'd say. And this shadow, be careful, it starts somewhere here. So we want to pay attention to all these moments. Now I have to add this shadow that is wider and less visible. For that, I only need to add some water here. And I'll go over the whole area until the very edge. Now I'm cleaning my brush. Now it's not too dry, but not too wet also. and I'm cleaning the edge so the shadow is nice and soft. So the sun comes something like this. That's why these two are lit and these are shaded, and the same is here. Here I made a huge mistake since now the sun comes from different sides, obviously, and I will be fixing this later. For now I will keep adding these shadows, and later I will switch the shadow on the door to the left side. And here I think I'll add some shadow here and here. And these pieces, they will be on top of everything. And also this area also shaded. And this part inside too. Some shadows here. Also, these cracks, they actually have shadows. So just a little bit. These areas, they are lit with sun. So we'll leave it like that. And maybe behind the bushes. And maybe a little bit behind the stair here. And again behind the bushes. And underneath of this pieces of greenery. The greenery is like super simple here. Like that. Also want to show the shadows coming from this branches. Great. It already has this volume. The last piece is here underneath of this piece of, let's say it's a marble, and it's sticking out a little bit, so it has some shadow. This is it. Or maybe I'll show a little bit here and cracks a bit more. I will now dry it a bit, and I'm ready to use my beautiful paint. First I'll go with my wet brush here, avoiding the greenery and this pipe, the actual pipe and the actual greenery, because now we'll be mixing the color of the wall with these shadows. Here the color is really light, and I'm picking it from different areas so that it will have various shades. It's a bit more red here and a bit more yellow here. And the lower I go, the more pigment I will pick. I won't be wetting my paper anymore. I'm gonna go dry here. because I want the color to be deeper. For now, I will avoid the door area, even though it's darker than the wall. I think it already looks like really cool. And here, I think my brush is too big, but that's fine. The paint goes loosely even if you covered some greenery or something else. It's all right, no problem. You have to enjoy the process. This is actually the main aim of painting, of this painting at least. And done, but not yet. I'll add some more paint in some areas. Let's say there is another layer of paint in this crack. Or maybe they were covering with the new paint just some areas, you know, and the color doesn't really match. So I'll add a bit more of this yellow here, and a bit yellow here. As you already noticed, the shadows, they are visible. I think I want some burnt sienna. I really love this color. I want to make some spots. These brownish spots. Here my paper is drying, and on the edges of this new paint are more visible. You have to pay attention to that. Sometimes it works really great, so it's not like something to worry about, it's just something to pay attention about. Some cracks, some damages on this wall. Now I will dry it a bit because I find that it's enough, and I will add some darker stuff here where there is no plaster. Great, maybe here too. Look how it blooms. I'm gonna leave it like that, and later I will have this impression that this old paint also started falling off, so I'm leaving this bloom. Maybe it's worth of adding some stuff here, because of the rain it all probably covered with mold, even though it's not on the reference. This is a mix of blue and green. Ooh, that's beautiful. I think it's too blue now. Probably, maybe not. Maybe not. I'm gonna leave it like this. I don't need my reference anymore. I will be playing with colors myself now. I don't want to leave it this, I don't know, boring wooden color. I want it to be bright. Cobalt teal blue. Again, I will be using different colors here, so that the door will look more interesting. I can leave some white spots here, that's fine, it's more than fine. It's actually very welcome. And the lower it goes, the darker it is. My brush is not too wet here, and I will add some other blues that I have. Here I have this, I don't know how you pronounce it, phthal turquoise. It's greenish blue color here. I think it's one of my favorites. I use it a lot and everywhere. So let's say we have the frame painted with this color. And also some embellishing elements I will cover with this color too, these squares. The paper is still wet, so the color is flowing around, moving around, and it's absolutely fine. As long as you leave these brighter areas, squares in this case, it's all great. And when it dries, I will add more color, different color to some areas. And this process will add some more volume to this painting. And I will leave it to dry for a while, and we'll play with green stuff. Maybe it's too boring, but again, let's keep it simple here. Lemon yellow and some grass green or whatever green you have. With lemon yellow it will be like spring green. Beautiful. And again, I'm not too neat, and yet I'm trying to stay within these edges. Of course, you can make some more complicated leaves, bushes. Here I just want to explain how I generally work with greenery. I'm avoiding this area with this, what's the name of it? Not the spine. Anyway, the trunk, I think it is. So again, the sun comes from here, and this area will be lit with it, and this will be shaded, and there will go with a darker green, darker and cooler, something like this, just as it was with shadows on the door and everywhere. I'm trying not to move the paint. I'm trying to let it go wherever it wants to go. Here it will be quite dark because it's covered with this piece of wood. Oh, I have another area here not covered. So spring green and summer green. Let's call it summer green. First layer will be like this, and then I will cover the lower part with some other color, darker. Actually, I want to show this pipe properly, so I will cover this area a little bit. Maybe I should leave the pipe like that. It already looks nice. I will just add some more color to the bottom, and I will leave this area white, lit with sun. I'm gonna be using this Penn's gray. Great. That's it. That's it. And in this area we also have to show some shadows here. And now we want to repeat this color here. So it will be something like, I don't know, stones. And some of these warm yellowish colors. Right now I realized that I was wrong for the whole time, because since the sun comes from here, then this area should be lit, you know. Oh, this is what happens when you do not follow the reference. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some shadows. Now it feels right, because I was painting and I did not realize what's wrong. I had this feeling, I just wasn't sure what it was. And actually I have to add this shadow to this side. Well, I'm honest and showing you my mistakes too. Now it makes sense. Look, don't be afraid to use these dark colors to show the shadows, and don't be afraid to fix mistakes that you make. I know when it happened. It happened when I started adding these plants. Yes, now it makes sense. Actually, now I will make this area a bit lighter since there is no this much shadows. Now it's nice and beautiful. It looks a bit dirty now, but I find it actually interesting. It's different. And yet it doesn't look like this door is inside. It's because this shadow is eaten by this new layer of paint. I will let it dry. And now I will add more shadows here. Just like that. I will add this greenish blue color to the green. So I got this cold green. And now I'm shaping some bushes, branches. Again, the shadows fall to the right. As we now know. Just some sort of leaves here and there. So the shapes are not too boring, you know. And not to forget about this bushes, grass, or whatever it is. Just a bit of let's call it dirt in this area. I'm leaving some spots, and probably it's time to show this wooden part. And sort of earth, ground. And I will go with the same color in these areas. To add more shadows. Just a little bit of Penn's gray to make it darker and cooler. And this time, as you can see, I'm leaving this side I'm gonna let it be brighter, lit with sun that comes from here. Great. And maybe I will use this color to show a little bit of volume here, and some sort of shadows here on this crack. I've got plenty of layers here, as you can see. Some more stuff here. I think it's too much. Just like that. Again, because this surface is popping up and it gives us these shadows here. Adding the shadow to the right. If you add it somewhere else, doesn't matter really. As long as some part is believable, our brain will arrange the rest of it. Some thickness I will add to these branches because they're too boring, I think. I have no idea what plant it would be. Now I'm adding some shadows to this wooden part also. So basically we're adding shadows to everything. And it will actually be the last part of the shadows on these branches, bushes, the leaf part. You see it's quite dark. It's greenish, bluish, but blackish. Bottom and right. Oi. And all I have to do is to paint this male hole and to add more color to the bricks or stones or whatever it is. Just a little bit here, unevenness. Some dark stuff in the corners. It's still wood, you know. Something like this. Not just to make them look dirty. It's better if you use some quite thick paint here. Just don't cover everything with this dark paint. Great, wow. Darker here. And the mailbox. I find it really cool to add some pen strokes here. I'm using a really thin pen and I'm adding some more volume, more details with it. Let's say here I'm showing that this pipe is not flat, and I'm adding some shape in these areas. And I'm adding shadows. This process is time consuming, but after all, totally worth it. Here I am adding some scratches to the frame, to the door in some areas, some stuff like this. Not everywhere, you don't want them to look too similar. Just little cracks here and there. Different. I think this is one of my favorite parts, to add this stuff. When you see some spots like this, you can totally make a crack of it and pretend that there is some old paint underneath, inside, I mean. Just like this here, and like that. To make it look old, you can also just make these lines not too straight, not too even, something like that. And if you attach to it some spot, it will look even more beautiful, like that. In these areas close to the bottom, to the ground, you can be like super free to make them look old and grungy and rotten. And if you want to add some crack, you just draw it and then add another color inside of it, like this. In some areas you want to add the direction. We want to show that this part is coming out of there, so some strokes, these strokes go this way and these go that way. And to add some more volume, here we show these strokes going down to the ground. Again, not everywhere, but in some areas. And also in some areas you can add these little cracks. They can go up there also. Here you can see this paint coming out to the wall. All I'm doing is outlining it. That's it, I have this crack. To make it more believable, I'm going inside with these little lines. The same is here. Just add some darker color. That's it. That's why we use different colors, so that now it looks nice and old. Here I can also add some stuff to make it look rotten. Just a few strokes to this wooden part, and that's it. Of course you can play with it like really long, adding some details, but to be honest, I'm already sort of tired with this picture. And I'm hungry. Well, I call it finished. I hope it was useful for someone. With this video I found some things that I will be using in my next drawings for sure. And I really do hope that it also gave you some ideas. And I really hope you will make your paintings better than mine. So that's it for today. Stay safe, healthy, and creative.